I got elected, then I got humbled, and turns out they all happened at the same time. Welcome back to I Got Time with Phylicia Porter. Last episode, we talked about Black maternal health and the systems that are consistently failing our Black women in real time. So if that hit, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going. So now let me be honest with you for a second. Nobody tells you what that looks like when you run for office. When you're canvassing, when you are hitting doors, no one tells you about that part. Because here's what nobody tells you about government leadership. The moment that you take the seat, you don't just represent a title. You represent your people, real people, neighbors, the ones that knock on your door at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, your community, the ones who show up in times of good and bad. And we want to make sure that we don't let them down. Government leadership isn't separate from community. It is community. And when you forget that, you stop leading, you start performing. And we've all seen that one politician that only shows up when photos happen, that shows up when a camera crew is there. But I tell people, the way that we are going to push Baltimore forward is making sure that people know exactly what that means. So many people reach out to me and are like, Phylicia, I want to run for office. But I tell them leadership is not always energizing. Some days the needs are urgent, competing, nonstop. And those needs have faces, names, stories. A constituent who can't afford their medication, a family who needs housing, someone who's just waiting for someone to show up for them. And they will find you. They'll find you at the grocery store. They'll find you at the Dollar General on Washington Boulevard. They find you on date night. They will find you everywhere. And you got to be ready because those decisions carry real consequences for real people. And you're expected to be steady while everything shifts around you. Leaders are still human. We carry stress. We sit with decisions long after the meeting ends, and that part does not get posted, but it is very real. And the community is counting. They're counting the ways that you are showing up in community, and that's the human side of government service. Real leadership happens when nobody's watching, making the unpopular calls, staying in hard conversations, carrying the outcomes that can't be rushed, the pushback, the urgency, the critique of it all. Holding town halls when everyone is yelling at you. And that's what real leadership is, standing in the gap for those who could not show up. And underneath it all, always is community. The people who elected you and the people who didn't. The people who depend on you and the people who feel and seen government drop the ball all and all over and over again. And that's why performative politics cannot be where we're focused on this next election. We have got to focus on people that you serve. We've got to focus on when people show up, can they match your value and the needs of your community? But y'all, burnout is real. I ain't gonna even lie to you. Burnout doesn't always show up as quitting. Sometimes it looks like continuing by running on empty, running election after election, year after year, knowing that you have enough fatigue and stress, but not enough oxygen. I once sat through a 3-hour budget hearing on 2 hours of sleep and gas station coffee, y'all. That is leadership. When we're in government, the community needs just don't pause because you're exhausted. The call still comes, the meetings still happen, and the people still need answers. So the question becomes, what sustains me when the work is heavy? What sustains other elected officials when the work is heavy? Because if it's not purpose, if it is not genuine connection to the communities that you serve, the burnout stops being a warning sign and it becomes a cycle that we see time and time again in our cities. And we need to have more conversations about burnout and leadership, particularly within government service. What sustains that real leadership is not built on applause. One of my mentors once told me, you should be able to show up in the applause and you should be able to show up in the bad time. It is purpose over popularity. It is community over recognition. It is not your Instagram likes. We all be following those Instagram likes. They are not determining what is happening truly in community. And when the work gets hard, it's not just the title that keeps you going. It's the grandmother who stopped you at a community meeting. It's the young person. Y'all, those young people that I bring to City Hall and they tell me what's happening in their neighborhoods. It's the neighbor right next to me that just needed some food to last them through the next week. That's the fuel. Community is not just about who you serve, it's what sustains you. So again, if that resonates with you, like, share, and comment. Let me know in the comment section what y'all be feeling and seeing in community, because we gotta stop performative politics. In my office, we are not interested in performance. We are interested in outcomes. That is how I determine how successful I am in this district, and doing the work when it's not convenient. staying focused on what actually changes lives and community. A ribbon cutting is not policy. I said what I said. A ribbon cutting is not policy because your constituents, they know the difference. Remember, I talked about the local, state, and federal level policy, the committee structure, when to show up. That's what we need to start pushing in community. Communities don't need performance. They need consistency. And consistency is what builds trust. Consistency is what builds trust, not only within you, but within government itself. People do not trust the government anymore. We've got to change that, y'all. We've got to change that in community. But we as government officials, we've got to start telling the truth. So I want to leave you with this. Leadership is not about being untouchable. It is about being accountable. It is not about being perfect. It is about being committed and admitting to your mistakes. It is about not being the loudest voice in the room. It is about actually doing the work that moves communities forward. And yes, sometimes the work starts at 6 a.m. Thank you, Senator Hayes. But before the coffee, it starts with a grounded leader. Government leadership not only means something when it's connected to people. When the community can see themselves in the decisions being made and they are brought along in the process, that is when they feel the impact. They don't just hear promises, they see actual tangible things in community. So the real question is, what do you expect from your leadership in Baltimore? There's an upcoming election here in Baltimore on June 23rd. So that's why I'm asking these questions, because we've got to be able, when we go to the polls in June, we've got to be able to have that top of mind. And that's why I'm starting this conversation. When you go to that voting poll, you are not just voting on a pretty picture or a pretty person. You are voting on the policies that that person stands for, the values that that person stands for, and whether they can bring things back for your communities. Talk soon, Baltimore.